Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you, everybody, for tuning back in once again for another episode of Logik's View. Today is Monday. You know what I'm saying? November 25th. And today we're going to be discussing again, working out the kinks and my new software. Like I've always been saying, bear with me. But we're going to jump right into a lot of different topics, all related to Michigan. And the past week of things that's going on, things we want to continue to monitor. Hopefully, y'all can hear me well, and hopefully, y'all having a good day. All right. So, first story we're going to jump into. This came out last week on a Thursday. Says a Michigan man charged with felony and misdemeanor offenses for conduct during January 6th Capitol breach. And this is from the United States Attorney's Office, District of Columbia. It says a Michigan man has been charged with felony and misdemeanor offenses related to his alleged conduct during the January 6, 2021 breach of the U.S. Capitol. His alleged allegations or his alleged actions and the actions of others disrupted a joint session of the U.S. Congress. We know the story. Dylan James Smith, 42, of Blanchard, Michigan, is charged in a criminal complaint filed in D.C. with the felony offense of obstruction of law enforcement during a civil disorder, as well as destruction of federal property, knowingly entering or remaining in restricted building or grounds, disorderly and disruptive conduct in a restricted building or grounds, and disorderly and disruptive conduct in the Capitol grounds or buildings. Smith will make his initial appearance in the Western District of Michigan. So, this article, like I said, was put out Thursday. Short little article outlining the allegations and what's going on. And you can find this article justice.gov. You can search it and find it and read more about it. We're going to try to keep up with all these stories we report on. But it's a lot of people being charged, When Trump get in on the 20th January, will all these people be investigated by other committees and pardoned? We will find out. But that's Dylan James Smith out of Blanchard, Michigan, charged again. 4 years later, almost. Mm-mm-mm. So we're gonna keep up with that. Another story out by Gateway Pundit talking about Mike Rogers. Now, before the election, we all had to unite and work to get Trump nominated and his endorsements. We had to keep quiet on certain things. Now that the election over, we won in a landslide. Time to start scrutinizing some of the candidates and people that we didn't before. Gateway Pundit. This article says, watch out for Mike Rogers. Newly resurfaced information should terrify any Trump voter if Rogers becomes the FBI director. This article was put out on the 20th as well last week. Son, you have to be quiet right now, okay?
Okay. But how do we start this game?
Go back out there.
Why?
You can play it right there.
I don't know.
I thought it was a video.
I don't know how we start. But it's loading right now.
I'm alright. Daddy is doing a video. You have to wait. Patty McMurray out of Michigan reported earlier last week Trump supporters found themselves scratching their heads over the potential selection of former U.S. Rep and FBI Special Agent Mike Rogers, who recently ran for U.S. Senate in Michigan as a Republican, as the potential next FBI director. I do got a video somewhere on this. I'll probably find it later, but it's a lot of talk about, a lot of people haven't been happy with some of Trump's endorsements across the country. I know here in Michigan, throughout the past years, there's been a lot of endorsements that have surprised a lot of the grassroots patriots. Happy with certain endorsements, and some we have been happy with, of course. But let's talk about, Trump placing certain people in the spotlight. Let's talk about keeping your friends close and your enemies close. Let's talk about it's a sting operation. It's a lot of talk on these different channels about possible scenarios, and to all of them, you gotta look into everything and formulate your opinion based off as much of it. So, he like one of them close and your enemies closer type of scenarios. I think possibly so. So if you want to dig more into this article, you can search it on Gateway Pundit. I'm gonna learn how to put all the links in the comment sections or in the description section, so these articles can be easily found. But yeah, that's some of the talk around on that subject. Now, something else I want to discuss is this article reminded me how it says past election challengers quiet as Michigan board certifies Trump's win. Now, this was put out on the 22nd last week. Craig Mauger from the Detroit News. Many of us familiar with Craig Mauger, but he bring up an interesting point. Where are the past election deniers at? Where's all the critics in Michigan who was claiming it wasn't no widespread voter fraud and this and that? Where's Ed McBroom? I was looking for him a week or two ago. I'm like, what he got to say about all this? Last election, y'all remember Ed McBroom put out the Senate report, um, alleging that it wasn't no widespread election fraud when many of us in Michigan know it was. And he put out that big report that had carried a lot of weight here in Michigan, and declared that it wasn't fraud here in Michigan when we know it was. Where is he at this election? I was looking up his Facebook and social media, and he quiet as a mouse. But this article goes on to talk about uh, the criticism, drama, and refusals to concede that marked Michigan's last two statewide elections were missing Friday, as the Board of State Canvassers certified Republican Donald Trump's 80,000 and some change vote win over Democrat Kamala Harris in the presidential contest. The canvassers meeting inside the Michigan Senate's Benfield office building lasted about 90 minutes and cemented former President Trump's victory of 1.4 percentage points over the incumbent vice president. 4 years earlier, Trump lost Michigan to Democrat Joe Biden by a wider margin. This is good old Craig Mauger reporting. Lost by a wider margin of 154,000 votes and some change, but Trump and his supporters advanced false claims that the election had been stolen from him because of widespread voter fraud, and they attempted to overturn his defeat. Blah, blah, blah. It wasn't a defeat. It was taken. It was snatched. It was took. Those are my words. So, in 2020, it goes on to say the Michigan and National Republican parties asked the Board of State Senators or canvassers to delay certification. We know it was a battle that ensued. This goes on to say that that meeting lasted more than 8 and saw the four-member board eventually approve the results. Two Republicans abstaining. So basically, they saying 4 years ago was a big fight once the election was taken. This year, uh, it was smooth sailing. You know what I'm saying? Why the Democrats ain't challenging it? Because they know better. So he bringing up a good point. I wonder where Ed McBroom at, why he ain't saying nothing about this election. And then all the stuff he denied in his election report from 2020, information has come out to show how uh he was lying. How it is tons of evidence in Michigan. And it was fraud this election too. But we made it too big to rig. That was key, man. They tried to rig this one too. We made it too big. Mm. All right. So other things, Michigan, I found this to be real interesting right here. This is an article by Mears, Michigan's independent source of news. I forgot what MIRS stands for. Mears, independent something source. But M. Coles, which is the Michigan Commission on Law Enforcement Standards, is looking into how at least 32 Detroit Police Department officers appear to have been working without active law enforcement officer license. So, like I say, this is an article put out last week by Teams. That's MIRS, and they this is crazy. The investigators from MCOL said that the officers were hired between November of 2019 and August of 2024. This is just a brief article on it. The department appears to have not requested to have those officers' licenses reactivated when they were hired or rehired. State law prohibits officers from exercising authority if they do not have an active license. It was unclear what that would mean for arrests made by those officers during the period their licenses were inactive. M. Coles told Wayne County Prosecutor Kim Worthy about the situation. The commission said they would review the status of the affected officers to see if they would be eligible for reactivation of their licenses. M. Coles is also in contact with the Detroit Department to run an audit on all officers to make sure they are licensed. Mm. So this is kind of confusing. It's like how these officers been working without valid licenses, or were they fraudulent licenses? Were they previous employees who failed to renew their licenses, or were they just people who came and applied and said they were officers or had credentials when they didn't? It's crazy. This was just put out last week, so we're going to see what continue to come out about that. Now, it's a lot of talk about the governor race coming up soon. It's a lot at stake, for sure. This post right here highlights by Megan Reckling highlights how the stakes couldn't be higher in 2026 here in Michigan. I think I brought this post up last week. She goes on to say, we got the open elections for governor, secretary of state, and attorney general. We got a battle to flip 2 Supreme Court seats, defeating 2 Democratic incumbents. We got a battle defending control of and flipping the Michigan Senate. We got a battle of protecting vulnerable congressional seats across the state. This is a defining election, defining future. And also, she going to say we need an MIGOP chair who will dedicate 100% of their time, energy, and strategy to winning elections. This is not a time for a part-time chair. She bring up a great point, man. We've been battling here in Michigan. We know corruption is deeply embedded here in Michigan. So we need all hands on deck. We need to fight just as hard as we fought to get Trump in. We need to fight to get a conservative governor, conservative SOS, and a conservative attorney general. Man, if we can take them positions, if we could take anything more than what we already just took the House. We making progress. We taking steps in the right direction, but we gonna need all hands on deck. So, uh, on the Democrat side, same news source mirrors says how history says Gilchrist runs for governor, but don't assume. Will Governor Garland Gilchrist run the second run for governor in 26? If he doesn't, he'll be the first lieutenant governor since Lauren Dickinson in 1930 to not seek the top post after the governor he served under didn't run again, either due to term limits or for a personal reason. So basically, they saying, like it just said, history says he's gonna run. So we got to look and see what he been posting about, how he been posturing, how he been trying to be all political and blah blah blah. We know how they set themselves up for a bigger run. But this article go on to talk about more in detail about this assumption, and you can go check that out. mers.news/blog. Search it over there and read more. Again, I'll be trying to learn how to put these articles in the description box in a organized manner. But that's interesting, So, all right, so go a couple X posts I got over here. Um, as you can see, Matt Maddock is pointing out last week on X how we got vicious Venezuelan gang Trinidad Aragua members territory in Troy, Michigan. This is the first gang ever in these peaceful communities. So this is how every state is a border state now. Way up here in Michigan, we got evidence that they here. You know, be on guard. I've seen other videos about people with their trail out fears they catching migrants walking through their backyards and what groups of them. People talking about strap up. Um, we got an article right here, a post by Sweet Home, Michigan, sounding the alarm that Michigan House Democrat Speaker, I think that's Joe Tate, planning on running for mayor of Detroit to replace Mayor Duggan. What? Joe Tate? Man. Mm-mm-mm. I don't trust him one bit. I don't know if y'all familiar with Joe Tate. Um, I don't like him. I don't rock with him. He the current House uh Speaker of the House. All right. Next, we got brother Pat Colbeck. He said, I am pleased to report that on November 18th, 2024, the Michigan Judicial Tenure Commission has acknowledged receipt of my September 30th, 2024 request for an investigation of Justice Kyra Bolden for allegations of bribery involving an $82,000 contribution to her campaign committee by Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson. Bolden subsequently wrote the majority opinion that eliminated effective oversight of our elections in favor of defendant Benson. Bolden's opinion overturned what had previously been unanimous rulings by lower courts. Mm-mm-mm. Shout out to brother Pat Colbeck, who is always fighting for truth and transparency and justice here in Michigan, pointing it out. He filing FOIA requests all the time. He got another post on here how he just got a $5,000 FOIA request bill trying to get other information. So if y'all not familiar with Pat Colbeck's website, let'sfixstuff.org, check that out and show him some support, share, like, subscribe, donate, whatever you capable of doing. But he got a lot of good information page. And then, like the GOP chair, we discussed that briefly, but Jim Runstead threw his hat in the ring, and I'm gonna definitely stay watching out what's going on with that. I showed the video last week, his campaign announcement, his run for a GOP chair. So we're gonna keep up. We're gonna keep up to date on that. See how that continue to unfold. But I like Jim Runstead. From what I've seen, he is a bulldog and a fighter. So he got a post he put up last week, actually yesterday. He said, "I am under no illusion that my run for state party chair will shake the political consultant class to its foundation. Some consultants provide valuable services at a fair price, earning an honest living without exploiting their clients. Others, however, have spent years ensuring that the state party chair remains a figurehead while they control the real power and purse strings. Their primary goal is to funnel the bulk of discretionary party funds into their own multi layered labyrinth of firms. These consultants operate through a maze of interconnected companies, charging fees that often consume up to 50% of the funds meant to promote the Republican message. This system has enriched them beyond measure, even though many lack a strong track record of winning elections. Their success relies entirely on electing and keeping a compliant chair in place to maintain their revenue stream, which we seen how quick they outed Christina Caramo when she got in there, uh, opening the books, which we know that's a controversial topic to some, but it's what happened. Given the vast resources they command, it's will stop at nothing to crush any threat to their money train. Crush any threat. Just like we see how they tried to crush Trump, but he had the support of the nation. I am fully aware of the challenge I am undertaking, but if elected, I'm determined to overturn the tables and require everyone to play by the same rules to put every dollar to the most efficient use to win elections. So I like Jim Runstead. We gonna be digging into him. It's already been some people digging into his finances and who he been getting donations from. But the big thing with me is with politicians is how much are you exposing? If you're gonna get my support, you're gonna have to be in there exposing the corruption. We know politics is polluted with tons of corruption. So if you in there and you not exposing it, you either blind, naive, complicit, or being blackmailed. You know what I'm saying? So if I get in politics, I'm gonna be in there exposing it from the inside. Holding people accountable, transparent as possible. You know what I'm saying? So that's the type of people I want to support. He talking right. He currently exposing tons of stuff, and then some people who involved in politics are unaware of the corruption until they get in there. How vast it is, how it's everywhere. So he exposing it. We're gonna see if he continue to expose it. But right now, I'm liking what I'm seeing. All right. What else we got going on up in here? This is a post put out by the UAW. Michigan UAW calls on legislators to deliver for working class people in this lame duck session. The UAW issued the following statement today calling on the Michigan legislature to deliver for working class people in the upcoming lame duck session. So they go on to list all this stuff with over 300,000 active and retired members in Michigan, which the majority of them voted for Trump. But now the UAW is demanding the Democratic trifecta to come through during this lame duck session. But what they fail to realize is that the Democrats, and many people's opinion, including mine, don't care about America or Michiganders. The elite Democrats who controlling the rank and file in that party. So I won't read this whole thing, but it's funny that they calling on the legislator to fight for them when we know that they don't do that. So a lot going on in Michigan. We got more from Pat Colback. Oh, hold on. Let me see what else we got over here. This article was put out last week. Michigan's watchdog, Capcom. It's a lot of good sources to write down and follow here in Michigan. Mears, Capcom, Pat Colback. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of Twitter X accounts to follow as well. We up against a deep state stronghold here in Michigan. So it's many fronts to fight on, and we need all warriors on deck. After winning this election and getting all this support and attention of the young people, the old people, all different walks of life, came out and rallied and supported Trump. That's wonderful. That's exactly what we needed to happen. But now we got to get involved more than just voting as well. Uh, to fight on the grassroots level, to get people informed on what's really going on, and their involvement to really empower people with wisdom and knowledge on how to fight in their communities. Man, we got to turn it up. We kicking butt, but we can't relax. We got to continue. We got to turn it up. So this is an example of one of the fronts here in Michigan. This article put out on the 19th says Michigan could make it almost impossible for parents to challenge library books. So there's probably some of the legislation included in this lame duck session, or these Democrats gonna try to go out with a bang. This article goes on to say this bill aims to protect our libraries by establishing clear standards and processes for selecting and withdrawing materials from collections. Glanville told Michigan Capital Confidential in an email about her proposal. So these are Democratic reps Veronica Pays of Harper Woods and Carol Glanville of Walker, who introduced House Bills 6034 and 6035 earlier this month. The bills are tie barred, meaning one cannot be enacted without the other. So they trying to solidify their agenda with this lame duck session here in Michigan. We got to raise awareness. We got to fight back. We got to call our legislators, Republican and Democrat, and let them know we don't agree with this. So find this article if you're interested in finding out more. Read it fully through it. MichiganCapitalConfidential.com. Another great source. Here's another one, the Midwesterner, another great source to write down here in Michigan. This article was put out on the 22nd, highlighting how under Whitmer's Michigan, we got a D plus rating for infant mortality. with black baby deaths 2.1 times the state average. You know, that don't ring good with me or many other people across Michigan, no matter what race or color you are. In Michigan, the infant mortality rate for black babies is more than double the national average. Mm-mm-mm. It'd be nice if all these Michigan voters who voted for Whitmer, especially the black ones in the urban cities, if they knew this was going on in Whitmer's, Michigan. Mm-mm-mm. Mm-mm-mm. So this article can be found on the Midwesterner.news. Another great source, like I say. Subscribe, follow, like, comment, all that good stuff, man. We are the news now. We taking over the mainstream media. And I appreciate y'all bearing with me as I work to uh, dial in my software and get fluent and familiar with it all as it come together. Here's a post by Donnie Detroit on Twitter or X, and it says, apparently there's still a lot of confusion regarding Michigan voter ID laws, and it is likely intentional. But they want to reiterate that photo ID is not required to vote in Michigan. They can ask you for it, but if you don't have it, you can vote anyway. It is the state law. And he says, don't believe me? Ask Johnson Benson. And goes up to put this article up or this. Voters without photo ID. Michigan election law anticipates that not all voters will have a photo ID. Voters who do not have acceptable photo ID or forgot to bring acceptable photo ID to the polls can vote likely like any other voter by signing an affidavit. And I know that this is true personally because when I went to vote last election, previous to this one in the midterm or the primary elections, I was joking with the clerk or with the election worker and was like, what if I forgot my ID? And they was like, oh, you just flip that paper over and sign on the back. And then I pulled my ID out. I was like, I was just joking. I was just seeing what was the protocol for someone who didn't have that ID. That just show how this post, I mean, it's true. Donnie Detroit ain't lying. Here's the proof right here from the Secretary of State telling you how you can vote without an ID here in Michigan. It's true. Easy. It's easy. Yeah. So it's a lot going on in Michigan. We're going to continue to try to highlight different things. I'm trying to get used to doing the shows, even though Mari, I have him majority of the time. You know, it's not, it's part of being a young parent, young patriot, young warrior for God and country. We have children. You know what I'm saying? Hey, he learning and seeing daddy at his battle stations. We out here fighting, you know what I'm saying? It's a lot going on though. As y'all can see, I got a couple. Oh, here's that video I wanted to play. Let me bring that up real quick. So,
Former Michigan Congressman and perhaps even the next FBI Director, Mike Rogers, joins us now. First off, crushing loss. You had a double-digit deficit. You lost by 0.3%. How do you deal with that? What do you tell your team?
Listen, I had one of those where I won by, a very 111 votes, and I've had one now that I've lost by 0.3%. I prefer winning on those. is a lot better. Listen, we've done everything. We didn't leave anything on the field. This was a race that nobody thought we should win. Nobody thought we could be in. Nobody thought that they should invest in. We had the least amount of financial investment, and we had the most, the closest race in the country, really, to winning a seat. that people think that we didn't win. And we did it by talking about real important things, Brian. Stopping, reforming DOJ, getting the FBI back on track, making sure that people could afford groceries again. All of those things worked, and that's why we closed the gap.
So, Congressman, your background, by the way, you closed the gap with the Republican Party in tatters in Michigan, so you really had to do it yourself. So let's talk about the FBI director. Your background in the FBI, prior to that, it was the military. Then you were the intelligence. When you sit down with the president, it's confidential. But what is your pitch to replace Christopher Wray?
Yeah, and of course, President hasn't said he's going to do that yet, but and those deliberations probably are ongoing, so I couldn't talk about any of those things. But listen, the Bureau has lost confidence in the American people. This is a tragedy. You think of the serious problems we have, Brian, with human trafficking, 30,000 people in this country illegally who have been convicted of rape or murder. This is where the FBI should be applying its resources. It should not be engaged in politics. And the culture of the FBI on the 7th floor needs to be changed. And that has to have a kind of a reckoning. You can cure the cancer without killing the patient, and that's exactly what needs to happen at the FBI. With Pam Bondi, who understands how to go after fentanyl problems, who understands how to use the Department of Justice and prosecution of these cases, with a functioning FBI that is not focused on politics, that is actually focused on crimes that are happening in neighborhoods that are destroying lives. That's kind of the thing that needs to happen. And it's somebody who has been out there and put bracelets on people and done investigations from stem to stern. I mean, I think that helps because you understand how you get agents refocused to their purpose. And there's a lot of agents that want to get back to work.
So the thing about if you talk to President
All right, so I'm gonna put that link in the description. But as different politicians and candidates jockey for positions in campaign season, they be exposing and saying all the right stuff. Boy, they come out the woodwork telling you everything you want to hear, acting the way you want them to act. They be trying to get that vote, earn that support and trust, that credibility, boy. You know. But we got to have our guards up and we got to scrutinize and vet these people and dig into their actions, like scripture say, look into their actions, not their words. So, you know, gather as much information as you can and formulate your own decision or formulate your own opinion. Here's another here's another little clip highlighting discussing Mike Rogers and whatnot. Let's see what this one talking about. Share. Boop, boop.
Intelligence matters, has proven himself reliable and trustworthy in handling that material.
Hold on.
My perspective, for instance, Mike Rogers is someone who would make a logical and reasonable FBI director. May not agree with him on everything, but he certainly has the background, the connection to the organization as a former FBI agent. He is someone deeply familiar with intelligence matters, has proven himself reliable and trustworthy in handling that material. So that's all good. Kash Patel is kind of the polar opposite. He is someone who has little to no experience in an organization or a leadership position, doesn't understand the organization, frequently says things that are maybe cute sound bites on podcasts, but indicate that he doesn't really understand the mission and the organization and the people who work there. And someone who is, by his own statements, professed himself to be interested in one thing, and that is tearing up and disrupting the current FBI. Not a good thing for the people of this country to have that sort of chaos introduced into an organization that they depend upon for their safety.
Chaos? Bro, y'all been bringing chaos for decades. That was Andrew McCabe, the former deputy director of the FBI. And he was bashing Kash Patel and lifting up Mike Rogers. So that's a bad time right there. You got the former swamp creature endorsing a current candidate and bashing another candidate. So you decide for yourself. You know what I'm saying? But Johnny Maga on X, he says he comments disgraced former deputy FBI director Andrew McCabe was on CNN endorsing Mike Rogers and attacking Cash Patel, while the news broke that Trump is not even considering Rogers. He says the deep state suffered a major blow this morning. So they on there showing their true colors. Trump probably threw Mike Rogers' name out there, or somebody threw Mike Rogers' name out there with Trump not even considering that. And then you got these people jumping out
My
there
perspective, for
voicing their perspectives. So this is chess, not checkers, baby. This is chess, not checkers. Um, it's a lot going on, and with my posts, I try to focus specifically on Michigan. Specifically on Michigan. Uh, you know, tons of other articles I could talk about. I got some other stuff, but I don't want to have too long of an episode. I got to get back out here to Murray. This one highlighting old Eminem. Man, I used to love Eminem, man. I used to have his stuff memorized, his old school music coming out back when I was in high school in 2001, 2002, with old Eminem, 1999. Well, now, man, he like a sold out Illuminati puppet, man. I don't got no respect for Eminem no more. Zero. Zilch. Zilch. I won't even listen to anything new he put out because he done showed his true colors. In this article, the Midwesterner highlighting how the Livonia coach fired over call about transgender student sparks fierce public backlash. I thought I had a video. Oh yeah, it is video on here. But it's many warriors in Michigan rising up. Many parents, many warriors for God and country rising up. Uh, getting on the front lines, getting involved, engaged, and empowered with the truth. It's beautiful to see, and we got to keep it going, man. We got the momentum. We taking the deep state. We taking the country back from the deep state. We got a lot to do here in Michigan because Michigan is a deep state stronghold. Many of us are aware of that, and all the way down to the grassroots level, we got grass rats. Rats and roaches and snakes on the grassroots level, jockeying for positions on the grassroots level. Man, it's so much going on, and I'm proud of Michigan for this last major victory that we just all united and worked together to fight for. But that was just one major objective checked off the list. Now we got many more things going on that we got to continue to move forward. There's old Jocelyn and Dana. Y'all know how much we love them. Pat Cole back on to say, certification of Michigan elections a foregone conclusion when the Michigan Secretary of State and Michigan Attorney General issued threats to any canvassers who refused to certify the election. That was put out on the 23rd. We know. I remember in 2021 when they was attacking Trump supporters and journalists in Michigan, man. It's a battle. It is a battle. And God created many of us for this battle that we in right here, right now. So, God bless y'all. Thank y'all for tuning back in once again for another episode of Logik's View. I'm going to be fine tuning my segments and my podcast. I'm going to just be continuing to try to go hard more and more regularly. I'm going to try to get it more and more situated, more and more ordered. Try to have all my platforms linked I'm gonna try to have regular episodes coming out. I'm gonna be working on my format, dialing it in. But just bear with me as we begin to rebuild. Trying out new software and trying to get my subscription numbers back up on my podcast. Um, Working on business cards. I used to have beautiful business cards. Got love and support all over Michigan. If you haven't been to my website, logicsview.com, I encourage you to go check it out. See what your boy up to. Um, you know what I'm saying? You can find out information about who I am, what I'm trying to do, what type of warrior I am. This is a follow. Favorite sources redacted, boy. And no, Mel K. Boy, I'm telling you. Michigan Muckraker, shout out to her. I see she just posted a video after several months of tending to family and stuff, important matters. I got my up over here working on that. Uh, get my team together, man. He's your boy got vision, dreams, need help. God is good, man. Just looking at all this. Been a lot of hard work, a lot of battling, baby. God is good. Shout out all the Michigan Warriors. Boy, look at this. Mm-mm-mm. I got so many pictures I can put up here, but just looking at all these pictures is just giving me flashbacks. Past few years, man. Uh, God is good. God is good. So yeah, go check that out. If y'all haven't been over there yet, please subscribe, follow me on Rumble, Locals, YouTube, Truth Social, X, and all that good stuff. But that's about it. God bless y'all. Love y'all. I hope y'all can hear me throughout this process. Hope everything. I'm gonna check it out myself. But God bless y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. Peace.